So you've mentioned before that there's some internal strife. I guess hinted at some internal strife within the team. Where is that coming from?
I'm not going to mention any names because I don't think that's fair. Everybody just is getting competitive. But like I said, when we started the season, it was just, hey, we're just going to have fun, play Sundays. We're not going to try that hard. But if you want to join and you're fine with that, then let's join. So we had 3 people that have never played together, and then a pair of 2 people that are friends in real life and have played together. And going into the season, like I said, we're just like, okay, whatever. But then once we start playing, we're like, no, we want to get competitive. And a few games in, I finally just said, hey, like, we're not playing this for fun. We want to win. We're not going to play meme comps because it's not fair to the other guys, Like, if I just want to mess around and play Murky, no, not saying anything about Hero because he's actually good at Murky, but it's not fair to the other guys on the team that I'm just going to mess around and ruin their time and waste their time. But so we kind of changed the mindset of, hey, we're going to do what we can to win. And then we started working through. But when you lose and you can't practice, most of the strategy comes in theory crafting. And I'm not going to name names, but there was one person that continually, doubted kind of what the team wanted to do. And even at one point saying one of the teammates the worst player they've ever played with, and another teammate is intentionally dying and throwing the game, so there's really nothing we can do to win. And I'm just like, I went back and watched, and it's like, they were not inting. They got killed. They overstepped a little bit and they got punished, But, and then it's like, I don't want to use the, hey, that's not going to work. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, we got 3 silvers on our team and a plat diamond player, and then me about low diamond. And it's like, a lot of times people throw out ideas and it's like, I know that's not going to work at high level. But if I say that, they just think, oh, not they. There's one person that continually would say, well, you're just like a dictator. You're just not listening to anything we have to say. And kind of created a wedge between a lot of our guys. And at one point, one of the guys actually told me about him. He said, hey, I don't want to play with this guy. I'll do it, but I'm just waiting for the season to be over. And I considered it too. I was just like, it wasn't enjoyable for me for a short span. And then I'm like, well, the other guys on my team I enjoy, so it's not fair to them for me to just quit. So I stuck it out, tried to make amends, and then it worked for a little bit, and then kind of back, once we lost another game, kind of back to normal. But yeah, it's kind of been ups and downs. So now it's like we have a pretty decent mentality going into this game, but it's like we're strategizing and theory crafting in our Discord, but one wrong thing and shit's just gonna hit the fan, So
when did all this finger pointing start? I'm sure it wasn't there at the first match of the season, right?
No, I don't know when. It was sometime in the middle. It was when we were starting to get going, and then we kind of had like a big setback.
Was there a specific match that you lost?
Not that I can remember which one. I just remember it was something.
There was one match against Big Dick Plays the first half of the season where you almost won on Cursed Hollow, but then it kind of swung the other way. That might have been the match, or not.
I don't know. I don't think it was at the end of a match per se, but it was one of those times where after a match we were theory crafting, and so tempers were already high, and then something was said, and I said, no, I don't think that's going to work, and then it kind of just like set off a firestorm. But yeah, it definitely wasn't at the beginning of the season. So my warning to people who are that you're going to start a league for the following season, make sure you enjoy playing with the people, because we already had a hard time practicing, and then when you no longer enjoy playing with your teammates, it creates kind of an issue because you're not going to create time. You're not going to go out of your way to set aside a time to practice when you're not enjoying playing with those people. So,
your
just
team,
a forewarning.
Your team couldn't even practice after your matches because that's when a lot of the other teams practice because they had that time slot already available.
Yeah, I can't because I have a 1.5-year-old, so my wife is already taking care of her right around dinner time because it's Pacific time. So usually right after the match, I go make dinner or and putting my daughter to bed. So and then by the time I'm done with that, it's usually about 9 o'clock Pacific time, which is not midnight Eastern. So it's just, and I would try to suggest, hey, I can't get there, but you guys do it, and they're like, no, I don't want to play with them.
You mentioned this finger pointing after matches. Does it occur during your matches on comms? Say in between a series or actually during?
Yes, it's happened on comms, especially the inting. He was called out for inting in the middle of one of our matches, and comms pretty much dead after that because
wow.
I'm usually the one to kind of shot call and like, hey, no, we're not going to do that. No, it's fine. But I didn't see it, so I didn't want to say one way or the other when I wasn't actually there. Yeah. So I didn't actually make a comment until after, and I watched the replay. But so at that game, it was just like, oh, well, okay, everyone's just quiet. And then I can't remember if that was game 1 or game 2, but it was not enjoyable. Yeah, it's one of those games that after everyone just disconnects right after the game ends. Not during, no EBS stuff, but right after. It's like, all right, bye. And then everyone disconnects. Like nothing said.
No EBS.
So, I got to give my team credit. We're not quitters like EBS Graphic, no matter what we think, we all have stuck it out, and we're still working. We honestly think we're going to win this series.
Okay, and you've mentioned a lot of this finger pointing is from just one person on your team, not like a 2 people or 3?
No, it's really from one. Because I try to direct message my teammates in private, like their thoughts, so then they feel free to open up and not be like call people out,
Yeah.
So then if they think one person is struggling or playing poorly, they feel free to just tell me, And most of them are like, yeah, positive, trying to care. Some of them are just like, I don't know, I don't care. You do it. You do what you think is best, and we'll figure it out. And then one person's just, it's never their fault, Like after I've probably watched every single one of our games replays twice on average, maybe a little bit over twice because I've watched some 3 or 4 times. But every single game I've seen stuff, me personally, that I could change. But some people just, when you point out an issue, they get defensive, and there's really nothing you can do about that.
So there's a little bit of resistance to change and taking advice. Because you're the highest MMR player on your team, right?
Yeah, and for most of them, I'm way higher. Chrysel is around Diamond, which is about the same as me. But everybody else, I think, is silver, maybe low gold.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw that in their face, but I'm like, some of the stuff, it's like, it's not going to work. We can't waste a game, especially since we don't practice. It's like, we can't waste a game on this that I know 100% is not going to work.
What are these things that aren't going to work? What comp is this? Juice Pirates? No,
it's nothing that crazy, but it's basically like, I know what my guys can play,
Yeah.
I've watched most of the time in the replays, I'm seeing just how people play, Some people are just, they dive in, Some people, they're really, like Scott, he's going to walk forward and auto attack people.
Yeah.
So if you say, hey, you should play a hero that stays back and just slowly deals damage, he's not going to do that. If he plays Chromie, he's going to walk right up to the enemy and auto attack him. So you don't put him on Chromie.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that that's just like, it's a little harder to explain, but it's like, it's not going to work.
So you don't have any examples of things that
I do, but I don't want to, because I don't want to alienate any of my players that have, like if I say, oh, we're not going to do this because this guy sucks at this. I don't want to alienate anybody on my team.
Okay, but internally, you won't say it out loud just for the sake of your team. But internally, that's what you're thinking. You're thinking this player has no chance of playing this hero correctly at all.
Yes and no. Like, for instance, a double support. We considered a double support Tracer comp with me on Tracer, but it won't work because I'm not good enough at Tracer. That's an example for me. Like, that's my detriment. It's not that I'm a bad player. It's just I'm not that good.
Yeah.
And like, oh, we're going to run this character. And it's like, well, in order to be effective with that character at a high level, you need to be very, very good. So it's more stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're playing a new role that you haven't really played before in other seasons, the range DPS carry.
Yeah, I haven't played in like a year for any significant amount of time. So that was the other thing. Like, I didn't know if it was me playing bad. Most of the time it was. But, like, you can't run a comp and say, oh, it didn't work because we didn't play it well. And it's like, well, you didn't play it well because it's out of our skill ceiling.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, TruMrFu?
I would say to all the guys, I was having a conversation with one of the guys that was looking to get into the league. And I was kind of trying to explain to him, hey, you're at a disadvantage because, one, you're low MMR. Two, nobody knows you, so they're not going to say, oh, we'll take this silver player that we don't know over this platinum player that we do know. So I was kind of like explaining to him, hey, if you want to get in the league in between the seasons, play with people, because that's really important. And then he kind of took offense to it, which I wasn't meaning to. But basically what I want to say is if you're looking to get in the league, play with people. You're not just going to be able to message there, say, hey, I'm looking for a team, because nobody wants to, especially me now. Like, I don't want to pick up random people that I clash with. Like, even the guy that's on my team that I've had issues with, I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think his personality doesn't clash with mine, He may have been good on a team like with Hero or Goon where they know what they're doing, Because sometimes I make calls and it's the wrong call, but it doesn't mean that your call's going to be better, So maybe it would have been better with a guy like Goon or Hero that really know the game in and out and don't make as many mistakes with their shot calling. Basically play with people, meet them. So then when you get into the season, your personalities go well together.
So would you play with the Tru Neck Beards, the team as is, for another season?
No.
What about if this one person was not on the team?
Honestly, I think so. There's a couple guys on my team that I really enjoy. And that's kind of how it's been. That's why I wanted to do this, because first season of Bush League, I met a bunch of people, and I still play with them now. When I first joined, I didn't know anybody in the community, and then each season I played with different people, and that's why this season I'm like, hey, I want to start a team of just random people that are looking to get on a team. And there's a couple of people that I really enjoy playing, and I would play a game with them, but definitely not the team as a whole, and I don't think those guys would either. So I'm still trying to decide if there is another season, what my plan will be.
Yeah. Would you say this is the worst team you've been a part of all 3 seasons?
Skill level? No, I had Zexorus in season 1, so
yeah.
Skill level, that was just kidding, Zex. If you hear this, I'm just messing with you.
He's not going to write.
No, he won't. But personality-wise, yeah, it's by far the worst. I mean, I've played sports my whole life, and you have feuds, but usually you argue and then you figure it out and you move on. It's different without a coach, obviously. But so that's kind of the thing. He hasn't accepted that I'm like the other guys are like, you're the captain. That's fine. We trust you if you make a mistake, whatever. But he's kind of hasn't, even though he says he has. Or so when I make a mistake, he's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be listening to you. Like, he doesn't say that, but you can tell by by how he treats the situation.
Oh yeah, yeah. If there's finger pointing, you can kind of connect the dots yourself without any.
Yeah, right. and I've tried to explain. Hey, we have one of the lowest MMRs out of every team. We're at a disadvantage, and we don't ever practice, and we never played together before. So that's 3 major disadvantages. So we need to do something that's going to change it. And so far, all we've done is hate each other. Make a bigger divide. Make a bigger divide. Not everybody, but we've grown further apart than game one this season.
Wow. That's very surprising to hear, because in your preseason interview, you mentioned there was no egos on the team, and that was one of your strengths. But it seems like it didn't pan out that way. It sounds like it's the opposite.
Losing definitely brings out character, and losing a lot brings out true character. So,
whoa.
I mean, it does.
Whoa.
When you lose a lot of games, you get to see what people are really made of.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
it's harsh words, but it's the truth. A lot of people who have played sports know there's just certain people that their mentality or their I don't know how to say it, but
their resolve. I can say resolve.
Yeah, and again, it's not this person is just a bad person. It's just, one, they're not that great at losing, and two, they clashed with the rest of the team. You know, They had different. They wanted to be in charge and made calls, and I considered letting them, but the other guys didn't want it.
Oh, okay. So you actually thought giving this person the finger pointer, I'll call him the finger pointer, a chance at running the show for a week.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be fair to the other guys on the team. You know, I thought we were making steps all season, and I still think we are with our play, and I think we kind of figured it out. Like I've said, like the games this season were our practices, so I think we're where we need to be. I mean, obviously we'd want to have more practices, but I think we're in a good spot going into the playoffs. But mentality-wise was the one thing I was not expecting, to just get demolished.
Are you sure you don't want to name names?
I do not want to name names. I mean, I don't. They're my teammate, and even after the season, I'm not going to name names because that's just not what I do. Mainly, I just want to say this so then people kind of understand why the new guys come in and why they may be reluctant to pick them up. So if you want to be at a team, play with people in between the seasons. Join the Win Time channel and just in the gang and the Bush League Discord and say, hey, who wants to play?
Yeah, and see what happens when you lose.
Yep, because I mean, Ian, you have played with some games with some people and just not even in Bush League, and you can see the character of people when they lose.